I refuse to believe you're broken. Welcome to Every Symptom Has a Story. I'm Wendy Handy, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, health consultant, educator, and lifelong student of functional health. I believe every symptom has a story. Every body leaves clues, and I believe that your body has an incredible capacity to move toward healing when we create the right conditions that allow it to do what it was designed to do. And each week we'll make complex health understandable, and we'll explore the science, the stories, and the practical steps that help you become your own best health advocate, because understanding changes everything. So let's make this make sense. I refuse to believe that you're broken. And what if I told you everything that you've been taught to believe about your symptoms is completely backwards? What if the fatigue isn't your body failing you? And what if that brain fog, your digestive issues, your anxiety, your inflammation, none of that's random? What if they're just messages? And then what if no one ever taught you how to understand those messages? So I want to welcome you to the new and revised podcast, Every Symptom Has a Story. I'm Wendy Handy, health consultant, educator, and lifelong student of functional health. And I believe that every symptom has a story, every body leaves clues, and together we'll understand your body and what it's trying to tell you. So years ago, probably close to 20 years ago now, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And like so many people, when they get a diagnosis, whether it's ulcerative colitis or anything else, I was told that medication would likely be part of my life forever. And for a very long time, well, I shouldn't say a very long time, but for a period of time, I believed that my diagnosis had become my future, that that's just the way my life was going to be. And then over time, something changed. I stopped asking the question, what's wrong with me? And I started asking instead, what is my body trying to tell me? And I got to tell you, that one single question changed the direction of my life. Because when I look back today, I don't believe that back then, when I had that diagnosis, that my body was failing me. What I believe now is that it was trying to save me. And when I think back now, I couldn't see it at the time, but my body had been whispering to me for years. The problem is I just wasn't listening because I was too busy trying to be successful. I was very driven, and I just kept pushing harder, and I was trying to plow through. Sound familiar to anybody? And I believed that the more effort that I put in, that would just solve all my problems and everything would go away. And then one day, my body pulled the emergency brake. And today, when I look back at the ulcerative colitis and that whole period of time, I look at it very differently. Because I don't look at it like my body was betraying me. It was my body asking me to pay attention. I'm trying to give you signals and clues over here, and you're just ignoring me and going about your merry way and pushing harder. And that experience completely changed how I look at health. Because today, the more I study and the more I learn, the body is incredibly intelligent. And the symptoms are just communication. They're not failure. And so I believe that your body has an incredible capacity to move toward healing. The caveat there is we have to create the right conditions. And that includes proper nutrition, getting enough quality sleep, getting some sort of movement in every day, working on your stress management, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle right there, and targeted support with supplementations when that's appropriate. And they're never magic fixes. I don't ever want you to think that you're just going to pop a supplement and things are going to go away, because that's not how it works. And there's always ways of working with your body instead of constantly fighting against it. So this podcast is not about chasing the next and newest and greatest and best supplement. And it is not about finding another miracle cure. And it certainly is not, it's not about creating fear. More than that, it is much more about creating your understanding and your understanding of your body and starting to listen to the clues that it's giving you. Because every week we're going to talk about things like your gut health, like your hormones, your metabolism, inflammation, blood sugar, stress, aging, and really a lot more than that. But we'll always come back to that very one question. What is your body trying to tell you? And, one of the things that I hope that you'll hear me say often throughout these episodes is that you are not your diagnosis. Your diagnosis may explain where you are today, but it doesn't define who you are. And I like to think of it as your diagnosis is like a layover at an airport, right? You're on a trip and you have a stop. You have a short layover. It's a stop along the journey and it tells us where we are, but it doesn't have to become your final destination. And so before we finish today's episode, I'd like to leave you with your very first detective note. For just this next week, every time you notice a symptom, and it can be a symptom like some unexplained fatigue, it can be a little bit of brain fog, it can be, a gut issue, it can be anything, doesn't matter. Don't immediately ask yourself, how do I make this go away? Instead, I want you to ask yourself, what could my body be trying to tell me? And you don't have to have the answer today. You just have to start asking the question, because when you ask that question, your mind will start looking back in all of the data that you've consumed and look for the answer. And so just start asking that question. What is my body trying to tell me? So, I want to thank you for spending some time with me today. My hope is that every episode from here on out helps you to understand your body just a little bit better. Because when you understand, that changes everything. So, until next time, I want you to remember that every symptom has a story. Every body leaves clues. I want you to stay curious. I want you to know that your body is not broken. It's just communicating with you. You just have to listen. And together, we'll understand. So until next week, take good care of yourself. Thanks for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little hope and a little understanding. And remember, you are not your diagnosis. Your body isn't broken. Every symptom has a story. Every body leaves clues. So, stay curious, trust the process, and together we'll understand. Until next time, take good care of yourself.